Hi, everybody. Welcome to the QB School. I'm JT O'Sullivan. Today, the Wonderlic Test. What is it? How was my experience? Maybe a funny story or two about the process. I'm excited. This should be a good one. Welcome to the QB School. Boom! All right, if you're enjoying this kind of content, please think about subscribing to the channel. Hit the button below. Hit the bell button too. Get nuts. Get notified when we go live, post something new. I really appreciate the support for the channel. Again, subscribe, bell. I appreciate it. All right, question. Talion 1-1 saw this comment. What was your Wonderlic score? Do they matter? You should talk about the Wonderlic. Boom, Talion. Here we go. So the Wonderlic test, this kind of mythical test that everybody knows they have to take to get into the NFL. What is it? What was my experience like? The essence of this thing, at least from what I remember, is it's a 50-question test over 12 minutes. I took it twice. One at the first time, the second time at my pro day at Davis, the first time at the NFL Combine. And so, you know, it's basically this kind of comprehensive kind of critical thinking test. It's a, handful of math questions, a bunch of just your basic logical reasoning questions. And so I'm not a great test taker by any means, but it wasn't necessarily, of all the things I was worried about in this process of trying to get into the NFL, this was pretty low on the totem pole or on the radar for me. I know it had a lot of guys scared. I remember, how you take it, I think is pretty interesting. So when you're at the Combine, I could probably do a bunch of videos on just the Combine, but when you're actually at the Combine, it's essentially like a job interview on steroids, right? Like the 30-something most powerful organizations for what you've dreamed about doing your entire life. You're on stage for like 48 hours. It's back to back. You're job interviewing with people, one-on-one meetings in the evenings, roundtable meetings during the day, physicals, on-field performance, strength testing, explosive testing, all of those things all the time. So the test, the Wonderlic test, happens, at some point during that. I don't really remember exactly when it happened and over the course of my Combine experience. I do remember, though, I'm almost positive it was in like the bowels of the RCA Dome. And we're in kind of this like windowless classroom. And it might have been at the hotel. I don't even remember. But it's essentially 12 minutes. You're locked in trying to do these tests as fast as you can because there's 50 questions and your score is essentially how many you get right. So I had to go back and look up what my actual score was, which at least on the internet was reported at 35. I don't remember. But basically you want to answer as many questions as you can as fast as you can, because if you don't get to the back end of the test, you don't get a chance to even get a high score. And so you're trying to go fast, 12 minutes, really fast. And so it's intense, whatever, intellectually stimulating, whatever you want to say. But I do remember the one funny story I have from this, and I'm going to tease you along here a little bit, because I think at least players, you kind of blur some of these memories together, because the craziness is that if you go to like an all-star game, like I went to the East-West Shrine game, another game, well, when you're at those games, there's a bunch of scouts there, and they will ask you to take tests for their specific organization. And so some organizations have longer tests, some organizations have, thinner tests. And so you end up taking a bunch of these things, but people really only ask you about the Wonderlic test. But the test that I thought was the craziest, and I'm probably a reason why I never signed on with the Giants, is I swear the Giants test was like 300 plus questions, and it asked you the same question, 8 different variations of the same question. Like, are you afraid of the dark? Have you ever been in the dark? Are you afraid of cats? Are you afraid of cats in the dark? Are you afraid of cats and dogs in the dark in nature? And like everything like that, to the point where like I just didn't have the attention span or the bandwidth to be able to, I'm sure my answers didn't make sense. I don't remember if I hit false or whatever the entire test, but I just remember it being like, thinking to yourself, like, how is this, applicable to what I'm going to be doing, just trying to throw it to the open guy? And so, for whatever reason, it never worked out there. Probably a good reason why it's better to finish those tests. But as far as the Wonderlic specifically, it's pretty cool, at least from the NFL Combine stance, because you're taking it, you're in this room with every other player for the Combine at your position. So every quarterback that came out my year, we're in this little windowless room taking a test. And so it's pretty surreal when you think of it like that. And I want to say they give you like a 1 minute, 2 minute reminder at the end, like, hey, you got a minute left. And at this time, the quarterback for Indiana coming out that year was a guy named Antoine Randall. Went on to have a great career, win a Super Bowl, had a great pass in the Super Bowl to Hines Ward, I think, but was essentially like a dual threat guy in the league. Well, he's coming out as a quarterback. Everybody thinks they're a quarterback. And he's in the room taking the test with all of us. And I remember him explicitly, like, we're grinding. Like, it's a minute left. Like, you're going as fast as you can. And I hear Antoine Randall yell out, "Oh, damn." And it just, like, cut the room. It was one of those, like, timeless moments, one of the few things that I, like, remember vividly from my combine experience. And so when people say, like, Wonderlic Test, what does it mean? How important is it? I don't know, man. I think it's a variable. I think that for the most part, it doesn't mean anything. I think it's raises red flags. You know, if you come in with like a single digit number, or potentially is kind of a dog whistle to maybe some guys who might have learning disabilities or struggle to learn in certain scenarios or certain ways. But others, I know also probably if you get too high of a score, it might be kind of a thing to scare people off, some organizations too. So it's about being able to make sure that you can kind of think logically, think critically, operate in a quick environment with a little tense. But that I'll never forget being in that room, locked in, going as fast as I can, and Antoine Randall just cutting the room in half. It was pretty sweet. So hopefully you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think. You got any Wonderlic stores? Take a test score. Let me know what your score is too in the comments. I appreciate the support for the channel. See you next time.